Okay, we are starting the main event, number 139, and we are lucky to have Brian Sykes with us today. I like to start the event every week by talking about the news, particularly the news that I post in the comment section of today's event. So I'm just going to go over that quickly, and then we'll open up things to talking with Brian. There are three posts from Bork, Sefton, Mins. One is how to replace clothing and video using AI, specifically in Kling. Two, the future of how we create an AI, and he's using free picks for that. And three, new AI image and video platform built for marketers, Verve, V-E-R-V. He's got more posts each week than just these three. But I posted these three, and my recommendation is to have you follow Bork because he's very informative. Ludovic Nastison has an interesting workflow using Weavy with Midjourney and Wondercraft for voiceover. Kieran Granite has a article, two things of his that I've posted. Avatars are not just talking heads, and it's talking about the acting ability of Cynthia's avatars. That's Synthiesia avatars. And the second post from him is most avatar videos look because light doesn't behave like physics. B-Bills, anybody familiar with that? B-E-E-B-L-E, Beebleys, new model Switchlight 3.0 changes that. Oh, it's an interesting post. Image Art has a post introducing image art workflow with infinite creative canvas. Zun Hong has a post link that I've posted to his demo on his website, Motion Stream real-time video generation with interactive motion controls. You're literally painting a little square on an image, and there's a second image next to it. And when you move that little square, the image manipulates wherever you're moving that. There's a interesting post by Ross Simmons. It's really not news, but it's a prompt he used to create wonderful caricatures, portraits. I think the one thing that's missing from his prompt is I believe he used an SREF. He's got a style weight of 100 in there, but that needs either an image or an SREF to refer to that. But I tried his prompt out and was getting some interesting results. Astatanja, this tool is helping e-commerce brands 10 times their sales, and it's a demonstration of using seller picks. And Toya Perry has a free Nano Banana creative guide available when you sign up for her newsletter. So those are all the things that are posted in the events section of today's event. One last thing I want to do is I want to thank everybody for all their likes and positive comments about Chris Fattini's Beast post, where he features my illustrations, and also for all the likes and comments for my second post about starting the Big Big AI Challenge. Brian, I don't know if you're familiar with this. I did a challenge called What's in a Name Challenge, and so many people participated in this thing. And then we did a main event where everybody came on and they talked about the experience.
Yeah.
And so I was encouraged by both Eric David and Glenn Badkin. In fact, they named it the Big AI Challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing that in the 2026, starting in January. And what I'll do is I will give a challenge the first part of the month, and then the last main event of the month, we will have everybody come on and talk about the results they got and what their experience was doing it.
I was just saying that's nice. I did see the post for that, and I saw a lot of engagement from the community, so that was really cool.
Yeah, I will continue doing that, and I will have more more surprise capabilities of Big Al's avatar to do all kinds of things that Big Al's not capable of doing. So you can look forward to more outlandish Big Al challenge, physical challenges. So Brian, we have been friends and working together for uh, almost 3 years and 6 months. You started your business back in June of 2022.
Yeah.
I started using Midjourney version 2 in June of 22. So I started looking at some dates of things that we've done. My first one-word prompt was in November of 2022. So that would have been with version 3. We both were prompting a lot of one-word prompts, trying to show people how a single word affects their prompting.
Yeah.
And that led to you inviting me to share the authorship of a book. We started the book in February of 2023, and the book AI Explorer, Snack-Sized Prompts and $5 Words. We didn't get the thing actually published until May of 2023. And why did it take that long? Because we were ready to publish with all of the stuff we did with version 4, and then version 5 came out. So we
Yes.
decided let's take and include version 5, all of the stuff that so we have version 4 and version 5 showing how one word prompts results, and then also how they in fact affected the shorter prompts that we included in the book.
Yeah.
That because of those two things, we ended up with a book that was what, over 200 pages, right?
It's pretty sizable. I could actually look it up real fast and see if I can find that. But I know, we have version 3, 4, and 5 as far as images in there. And our approach to it was very pragmatic in the sense of we weren't just showing here's a word and what one word will do. It's kind of this deep dive of let's think about how the AI interprets individual terms and the impact it can have on the overall image. So it's a style of styling before style was a thing you could apply, as far as style references to your images. And that was something we were kind of pointing out is the impact of these bigger words and the value they played.
You have been this whole time writing books, posting daily on LinkedIn, uh, counting the number of times you revised books and updated them. How many books have you published at this point?
Officially, there's 6 books. And yeah, the updates was a constantly chasing endeavor. And I've actually slowed down a bit on that. Because there's still yet a version 7 Midjourney that could be released. But I know as soon as I get that one together, there'll be a version 8 that'll pop out on the scene. I'm taking a different bent, I believe, where I'm going to focus more on kind of getting people to the basics, stepping it back a little bit of I had a conversation with a fellow that I spoke at his Creativeverse conference alongside of Christo. And he made the statement. He said, Brian, you're over here on Pluto. We need to bring it back to Earth. So is there a way you could kind of give us some insights on AI from where everybody else is walking? And so I said, I'll start doing some back to basics books that'll really get you on the ground level. And I find that even when I try to go simple, I still go deep. So I'm working on that.
Yeah, I when I put together a training session, I always end up doing advanced prompting, in the thing
Right.
because it's hard to just keep it to basics because, that's like reading a post from Midjourney.
Yes.
So I think that you've been doing, the community a huge favor, and you have been teaching, and you started a Substack program now,
Yeah.
and I understand you just went someplace and did a training session in person.
Yeah, I was just up in Indianapolis with my wife. We went up and I had a 3 day session working with a team, a creative team. And it's like drinking from a fire hose because we covered multiple products and then really kind of helped them get a good grasp of how these different tools work. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge to introduce people who've never done anything aside from maybe a couple of ChatGPT conversations to grasp the depth of what each of these tools can do. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. We spent 2 days learning product, and then the third day we did some implementation where we did workflows. So enjoyed that process.
Did you go to the Adobe Max
I
conference?
didn't go. I did watch it online though. I enjoyed seeing some of the latest updates that they've made available or coming out soon.
Yeah, and consequently, you got a new book coming out soon.
Well, it's in the works, and that's part of the approach that I'm taking. Instead of putting out the books and letting people trickle in on the buy side, I decided to put it out there as something that I would like to do and see how many people would buy into the idea, literally. And so, if you are part of the first 100, you get it at basically a third of the price. So, Al, I saw that you had already signed up for that, so thank
Yep.
you. But that's really the goal or the idea was to put out if this is something of interest, then this is something I'll invest time and energy into creating. And so it's really a no risk opportunity for people. If they wanted to buy into the book, they could do so. And then when it releases, you get it just fair and square. And those who didn't decide to buy in early, they'll pay full price.
Do
So that's kind of the thought.
do everybody a favor and put a link in the comment section of today's event on where they can sign up for the book.
Okay, I'll do that. Also, you'll notice at the very top of our meeting chat, so I knew I'd get lost and forget to do it later. At the very beginning of it, there is, I'm sharing with the group where you can sign up for the 5 day email course that I've got. It's free, and it really kind of walks you through some thought processes of how to integrate AI. And then the second thing is a free month of my Substack newsletter. So there's a link there that'll take you. You can go in and sign up and get a month of the Substack for free. Right now, I think there's over 300 articles published on my Substack. And with those, I try to do deep dives and step by steps to walk through new products and how to practically use it. So be sure and take advantage of that.
Since this book is about Firefly, I'd like to hear you tell us a bit about Firefly, and maybe you could show us some things.
Sure. So I'm going to do share my screen real fast. Okay, so I'm starting here inside of my Substack because this is a great place. As you guys can dig in today, you can go to this article, and I'm talking about the nifty new feature in the Adobe universe of AI. So with Firefly, they're doing a couple things I find really fascinating. And the reason I'm interested in even talking about Firefly to begin with is most of you guys are creative professionals, I'm going to assume. And from that, a lot of times the Adobe suite is where most of us have cut our teeth in the design field, whether it's Photoshop or Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, After Effects. And so the Adobe suite is really that already in a lot of creatives' hands. And as a tool, the brilliance of it for me is even when they're imperfect, they still have a segue into the creative community. What Adobe is doing that I find fascinating is they're not coming in and saying, we're going to have the best AI. They're literally working to bring the best AI in-house. So they can utilize tools that other people are recognizing. Now, we've seen this happen with a lot of tools. I mentioned this in here, where you've got node-based editing that allows you to work across Flux and Gemini's Imagen, or what you know of as Nano Banana, or a number of various tools all within one platform. The challenge with a lot of those is node-based editing. I love it. It's great. It's really cool, but it can be a whole new learning environment. If you're already kind of working within the platform of Adobe, and this is really not a sales pitch to them because I get no benefit from this, but they're good at creating strong interfaces. We're familiar with how Photoshop works if you've been in it for a while. I've been in Photoshop since version 2.
Same
So
here.
yeah, so this is the thing is it's if you're already kind of comfortable and familiar with the space, you don't have to learn a whole new way of doing things in order to implement AI. Um, so I did an article talking about that, but jumping into Firefly, they've really expanded the Firefly capabilities in audience. I mean, I've been doing articles in my Substack about Firefly since its first version that was publicly available. And at the time, the only thing they created was images. But now AI with Firefly, they're doing video integration. There's the ability to edit in real time images, so you can have a conversation with it. And the way they're doing this is Adobe is providing the interface, and it's allowing you to use the other AI platforms. You'll notice right here on this first page, choose a model and describe what you want to generate, and Nano Banana is the default option that's showing up, not Firefly, which I find really fascinating. As you're able to work with this tool, you'll see the options that are available from Firefly 3 up to 5. And then the partner models, they've got Flux, they got GPT Image, Imagen 3 and 4, Nano Banana, and Runway Gen 4 images. And I think this is going to continue to expand. The relationship that Adobe is creating with these platforms is really fascinating. As far as the functional, go ahead, Al.
uh, One of the things they have done over the years is to either develop something or incorporate some other company into their business, and
Yeah,
in order to meet their what I think is their corporate ego, which is they be the main tool, the main place you go to in order to do professional work.
agree. We've seen it for those who've been using Photoshop for some time. You might remember when they first brought over the different brush tips that you could apply for your styles, or your different, with Photoshop, they had the different filters you could apply where other people could create them, or whole platforms could be created, and you could add it on to the functional capability. The way they're integrating AI into the workspace that is Adobe, it's no longer locked down just to the Photoshop platform. In fact, here I'm in Firefly, and it's got functionality that's described like edit an image. This is really fascinating because you're no longer stuck within the way we've always done things, but they're still giving you the comfort of, hey, this is still Adobe. You can still work with all the different models that are available for editing. But we're going to give you a similar work environment to what you've been using before. This is just the fast track solution to these things. This capability is built into Photoshop now. You don't have to do it just inside of Firefly. But I think for me, the thing that was important is if you want to get the best results from these tools, you still have to understand how to communicate with them effectively. You have to understand how to drive the engine. Guido, you're one in the photography space. We talk about this often around there's still limitations with each of the tools. With most of the AI models, you almost have to scale down a lot of those high-res photographs to even begin working with them in the creative space. So Adobe's trying to bridge that gap and help where we can bring true commercial quality images into this space, make the edits and additions, and then ramp everything back up. For those who might have missed it, there's an upscaler that's been added into the Adobe suite. So now with Photoshop, you can upscale your images, it's actually pretty good. The quality is better than a lot of the things out there. I would say it's probably equal to Topaz on the image updates.
I have always said that Photoshop's ability to enlarge an image is inferior to some of the products that are out there.
Yeah.
For a long time, I've been using On1 Photo Raw because it enlarged things with fractals, and now fractals and AI. And the reason I got it was because I had clients who would have me do an illustration for an ad and then
Yeah.
come back to me and say, oh, we just realized we've got to have this on an 8 foot tall Duratrans in a convention booth. Can you upsize this picture so we can do this? And
Right.
that was the solution.
Yeah, we've always had to work around our elbow, to get to the results that we're after. And I think we're seeing more and more where the tools that are paying attention are understanding that there's workflows. It's not about, hey, we've got the greatest one pen. Now they're like, we've got the platform that can work with the pen and the paper and the brush and everything else and make sure it collaborates well between all the things. Adobe, I think, is doing really well with this. An example for you guys to play with, and this is actually what's in my Substack today. So if you've got the Adobe Suite with Firefly, you can scroll down here. There's one thing called Ideate. It's over here on the left. So create, generate, and ideate. And this is something I think you guys might have a lot of fun playing with. There's 3 examples given. Gizem Akdad, her brand design project is actually pretty cool. I don't know if anybody's connected with her on LinkedIn as well, but a fantastic gal. But what's interesting with this is the structure of this is set up so that it's really a place to storyboard your ideas, and you can also create in it. And let's see if this will pull up. It's a pretty in-depth project. So you can basically lay things out like a storyboard, like we did in Illustrator and for all those years. And what's interesting is, for instance, let's see, client brief. She's got add client information, brief, insights, research, direction, and then what she's done is basically created 3 storyboards. What's interesting with this is how she's approaching the design is you can actually drag and drop actual images that you have, photographs that you've taken, inspiration sources from the web, but you're not limited to that. You can then take those individual assets and marrying them together, create prompts that will create brand new things. For instance, she creates a logo idea, and then she could apply that logo into ad samples, into project ideas. So the beauty of this tool is being able to marry real things with make-believe things through AI, and then add your text in place. So you basically are creating living storyboards. Let me go back. So I was playing with it this morning. Yeah, so here's one that was kind of interesting. This is the furniture design project by Vajtig. I'm used to doing this on my iMac instead of my laptop. Okay, so with detail inspiration, you've got all these products that he's dragged in for details inspiration. And then with the form research, he's got images that have been created. This is AI generated images. These are AI generated images. And you'll see some of them that the little icon will pop up to show you which AI was used to generate. So in this case, most of those were done with Flux. He creates patterns. Most of these were Flux designs as well. And then he can begin blending concept ideas, or those initial ideas of designs, with different patterns, and actually begin creating projects to take a look at. Let me zoom in here on this thing. But what he's done, though, is that you can see where the product is kind of goes through the full workflow. And with him, he's actually creating 3D models and then putting his sample projects at the end.
So basically, you're doing all of the steps within this single platform, and then you've actually generated images that are usable here in stage 7.
Yeah, so this guy actually created 3D models and it has a finished product that he can show for it when he's done. But this is just one of the many tools that's available inside of Adobe Firefly now. This is just one little piece. It's the ideate aspect. But they've also added the functionality of being able to do, as you noticed here, editing video, editing images, creating boards. There's the ability to create music and to do sound effects. So many of things that are the asset development we need, whether it's for print-based solutions, digital solutions, whether it's web or video, the capability inside of Adobe is really quite fascinating because you're not just locked down with the Firefly AI itself, but all of the AI tools that they've partnered with.
This is something that a number of companies have been trying to do to bring things together. This is doing it in steroids.
I agree. And I think, there's still some other tools out there that are truly fascinating. I hope to see become part of the Adobe universe as far as for productivity. What I'm looking for to happen in 2026 is where AI is going to be able to work, particularly for photographers and high-end designers, to work with much higher resolution images. This is the bane of a lot of photographers and image makers because they have to scale down things. This is something Terry and I were talking about just recently, where you have to scale down an image in order to edit it and work with it with AI, and then use Topaz or some other tool like Magnific to re-enlarge it to make it back for production quality.
Nice thing about Photoshop generating images, and they're a lot better than they were when they first started doing that, is
Yeah.
you can generate high resolution files, and it happens just as fast as if you were doing a low resolution one.
Oh yeah, yeah. The quality's getting better and better. We're now able to generate with some of the different models. You're able to generate at 4K. That's really impressive. When it was only a couple years ago, we were barely getting a thing to move reasonably well with AI, and now you can generate video that you can't tell isn't real.
So all of these different things from Adobe Firefly are, as they work them out and take out any of the bugs, if you would, out of Firefly, they are bringing them into their regular suite of products, and quite impressive. I know because I use Adobe all the time for everything I'm doing, and except for 3D. But I did have they had a suite of 3D tools that I had gotten at one point, but I ended up not using them enough so that I finally got rid of them. But the thing is that there is so much that you can do. I don't think, they've talked about copyright, is if it's generated by an AI program, you can't copyright it. But if you do any modifications to it, then you can copyright it. And
Right.
I can't think of an AI image that I've published that I haven't had to make some modifications to it.
Right.
So, and the way to do that is to bring it into Photoshop.
True. I think the challenge here, of course, is what people consider dirty AI, where they're afraid of or fearful of, from a commercial standpoint, of using tools that are outside of the Adobe suite. The funny thing, though, is even though AI inside of Firefly, or excuse me, inside of the Adobe suite, they're using AI that isn't controlled by or owned by Adobe. And so while it still has the stipulations of being dirty AI if it comes from some of these other platforms, because they might have been trained on material that they, for whatever stated purpose, it wasn't something that meets the standard that everybody adheres to, where they say Adobe's products have been trained on material that Adobe owned. So that makes it safe commercially. We're seeing less and less kickback in the industry around those spaces there, because again, you're right. Everybody, in a professional standpoint, nobody creates something and then it's done. It's going to be created, massaged, manipulated, and changed to fit the environment we're working from. But it's going to just be a new amplification. We're going to see more and more where we create that really nice photograph, and now we can take it to a number of tools and have it generate from multiple angles. That one shot that you didn't get, or that you want to see it in different ways, whether it's using the Google Gemini with its Nano Banana, its capabilities that are there, and then the one that was just released recently. Somebody in the audience will know right away what I'm talking about, where it's got a really good capability, and I believe it's from a Chinese company. But the image generation is just getting better and better across the board.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm seeing is being criticized still a whole lot is fear of what's going to happen to actors and actresses in terms of being replicated. Chatting with somebody this week that is proposing that, say Brad Pitt's face gets used on something, that he gets commission or whatever, to give them permission to use it and has some say about how it's being used. For
Right.
example, if they want to put Brad Pitt into a commercial, Brad Pitt needs to be paid accordingly, even if it's just his image that's being done. So,
Yeah.
this is we're still working out all this stuff.
Yeah. It is going to be a long time yet where this is still going to be processed and thought through and tried to be resolved. We're seeing a number of companies, like Descript has the ability to generate AI avatars where you can go into their studios and have a full high-res picture taken of you at all the different angles, just the right lighting, where they can generate perfect versions of you as a talking head. So this technology is just going to expand more and more into the AI space, where they're already kind of doing versions of this with the 3D modeling, so that when you've got a person like a Brad Pitt that wants to do an action scene, they can have fully him and then have the AI model or the 3D model finish out some kind of super effect that you be nearly impossible to try to video. And that the cleanness of the plates and things would be such you couldn't tell where one began and the other ended. That's an asset to something that's already being produced. I think the fear definitely comes into play of where that asset then is being used in other places without permission of the author. And I think this is the thing. We just actually, I don't know if you saw it, the first AI focused theft occurred just this past week. And they used Anthropic's Claude to go through the process. And so I don't have all the details on this, but they were using Claude as a way to get into different data points and get access to information and use it as a way to do some really interesting fraud. But again, this is where we're starting to see, okay, so there's not always good sides to everything that AI can do. We're going to have to use AI to kind of come on the backside and be the police as well for everything else.
One of the things that I was saying to these people in terms of this is, I'm old enough to remember when TV came out and everybody thought it was going to kill movies,
Right.
And in fact, there was less money being spent by Disney at that time for the cartoon movies they were doing because they didn't think they were going to get as big of an audience with it. When Tron came out, Hollywood was poo-pooing 3D, created images and everything. Now there's not a movie that's out there that doesn't have some 3D in it. So
Right.
I think that's what's going to happen with AI as well. It's going to be another Hollywood tool, just like it's a
Yeah.
tool for us,
One of the things you guys in the audience can probably relate to is when a new thing comes out, the initial approach is we use it to do things that we've always done. In other words, how does this help me with this current process? And so it fits into an existing workflow in some capacity. Where we really start pushing the envelope is where we go, okay, now what else can we do with it? Where does this take us next? What's the other, what's the new medium that's created because of this technology? With Tron, they were trying to figure out ways to do something that would have been really complicated to create those simple vector graphics in that first movie. And yet the idea was, if we'd have done this normally, we would have figured out how to hang lights and get just the right camera angle. This would have sped up the process. But again, they were trying to reproduce something that already existed. Now we've got shots in movies that are impossible to do without this technology of 3D modeling and with what's possible. So kind of like pushing into the AI space, I think we're going to see whole new media that's going to be generating, where it's not just animated, it's going to be something totally fresh and new in a way that we haven't yet defined it yet. I think what's the onus is on us to kind of come up with the next thing.
I came up with an idea for a TV program that have at least one AI actor in each of the episodes. And my way of getting around concerns from Actors Guild was that an actual actor doing the voice. And so it would be like doing a cartoon where they have an actor doing the voice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you think of the movies where they've done full body tracing and have the person act out something and then replace that with 3D models. That capability is available with AI now. So by having someone act out a part or play the role and then simply replace the physical person, you can have one person be every single person in a movie using AI for that technology. So the possibilities are now changing the dynamics. It's really people who have a creative thought process to go, okay, how can we do this in a unique way? What is it that we can really step out and do? Because this is the thing that I just heard a comedian yesterday listening to a podcast on my flight back from Indianapolis. And the comedian was talking about where most comedians struggle as actors is they are relying on the audience feedback. So what makes a really good actor is a person who can respond, to something that might not even be there. This is the strength of an actor, just like the strength of a designer is understanding how to creatively problem solve. So when we're not an actor and we're trying to tell an AI to do something, the responses, the minutia of detail that shows up in how a person responds to things aren't things that necessarily we're skilled in. But this goes back to the ramp idea that I talk about, where AI can amplify what we bring to it, but it can also ramp or help us get up to speed with a new idea or new information. And this is, I think, where we're going to see more and more integration of the human showing up and teaching the AI or teaching other creatives how to use the AI to focus on those details that's going to help sell an idea.
One post that I mentioned where they're talking about avatars acting now and
Right.
having normal kind of motions and expressions and voice intonations and everything is because they're getting trained to do that sort of thing.
Right.
Brian, we've got another maybe 15, 20 minutes left, and I'd like to open up to the floor about anybody who would like to ask you some questions. So anybody,
Sure.
just raise your hand and we'll call you to ask the question or make a comment. Okay, Maria, go ahead.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for super
Yeah.
interesting talk. And I just put it in the chat box that the first link didn't work for your 5-day course. So you
Okay.
can check on that later on.
I will do
But
that.
I would really like if it was possible for you to show when you do something in Firefly and just showing how you work. So I can see it
Yeah.
live if that's possible.
I can try and do something like that. I'll take some questions and answers while we're doing that too.
Anyone else have a question, comment? Christine?
Hi, I'm curious about the node creation. I'm kind of relatively new at this. I've only been in it less than 2 years with AI.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it, absolutely immersed in it. And I'm always trying to learn something new. I don't know if the node, I'm so used to creating the image and then animating and all that. I don't know if that's like something that I would really enjoy. I don't know if it's too complicated or.
No, I think you actually will be surprised. And this is the funny thing is, so with the team that I was just teaching, I spent 2 days going through individual products and it's kind of like, this is overwhelmed. Think of nodes along the lines of like Lego building blocks, but where each block leads into the next concept that you're trying to convey. There's a number of tools out there that do this. Weavy, I mean, like there's a Playtor, there's Comfy UI, there's a number of node-based models. And so the idea is you think of it logically or in a linear fashion to start with. What is it that you want to do? You want to create an image? Okay, so you know that the result is going to be an image. Now, for creating an image, the way we normally do that is we have to then have a prompt that's going to drive what image we're creating. So you have a text prompt that then links to the box for where the image goes. So you're visually seeing how the whole thing lays out. Where it starts getting complicated is when you're seeing, one image prompt that then is creating 10 different renders because you're working with multiple platforms. That's where you kind of get lost. Start with any of the tools, and most of them have a kind of walkthrough. Like I know Playtor and Weavy both have it set up where there's some examples that you can walk through. I think if you see some examples that are basic, you'll get it right away. I think Stable Diffusion definitely had one of the first node-based things. Yeah, Eric, what you got?
Hey, Brian, thanks a lot. Great to see you again.
Yeah,
Just a quick question. You know, oh, Floor is another one that has a
yeah.
node-based, and from what I've understood, it slightly more has a better UI, a little bit friendlier UI. I mean, Comfy UI is like the most intense,
Right.
and Weavy, and I think Flora is just a little bit more. I just started using it a little bit. Uh, I mean, it kind of works like layers basically, right? So you can get each image, each part of the image looking how you want it to look, and then you can add your background to it, and then you could add this
Yeah.
to it, and then you could add that to it, or you could change one particular thing to it. So kind of similar to the way layers works in Photoshop, I'm assuming. Just two questions, because I
Sure.
haven't used any of the AI tools in Photoshop, but are these all included if you have the Creative Suite? It's not additional.
So everything that's in the Firefly that you're seeing on the screen, that's part of the Creative Suite. So if you have it, yeah, just jump right in and take advantage of it. There's added functionality where right now until December 1st, you have unlimited renders. So it's a perfect time to kind of jump in and fully take advantage of seeing all the things that you can do with Firefly. I don't know how they're going to do all the token stuff. I believe the structure right now is you get so many tokens based off of your Creative Suite, and then you can buy additional if you want to do more. Like all of you guys have seen that when you're using VO3 or you're using Sora 2, they tend to be very heavy on the token usage. That shows up when you're working with FreePick or any of the platforms. So just something to kind of be aware of. But right now, all of it's free inside of Firefly.
Well, that's great. And if it works out, I can cancel a number of subscriptions.
Yes.
Yes, and
Right?
today
Uh,
it's a 50% discount because it's close to the Black Friday. So the Adobe Creative they give it for 50% off.
Okay.
just one other question, Brian. Like on a number of these multi-platform suites, they have all the different models of various image generators and video generators, but you don't have all the bells and whistles that you would have if you were signing up for the specific
Right.
subscription. Is it the same thing in Firefly?
Well, here's the thing I found is you're right. Most of the APIs, when they're using an API into an existing model, you're not getting the full range functionality. But what I found is really fascinating is anybody that's worked with VO3 or Nano Banana, you know how it likes to put the Gemini logo on everything. When you're using the API, it does not apply the logo. So you're actually getting a little bit better, in my perspective, at least of the VO3 and the Nano Banana results. When you're working with some of the other AIs, what I found is it depends on the platform that you're engaging with. So Adobe, its engine and its communication with the API is actually really good. The results that I'm getting have been much, much better than a lot of the other tools. With a lot of the tools, it depends on how good of a prompt you write to get the results that you're after. So, when you're working with Comfy UI or you're working in Weavy or Playtor, if you write a really good prompt, you can get some really good results from the API. That's kind of what I found. And then when I'm saying API, for those who don't know, that's basically where a tool like VO3 gives access to their tool inside of another suite. So it's just like a plug and play feature where that tool's available.
It's funny. I actually remember, and I'm sure you guys remember the days when you'd actually have to put in intricate detail, sharp focus,
Yes.
4K resolute or something like that into the prompt, and those days are long gone.
Yeah, I mean, the image generators are getting much better quality, and now it's getting very responsive to terms. I mean, like, I don't know if anybody was paying attention to the capabilities in G and VO3, where now it can do some really complex camera angle and camera movement. and it can be applied to something that already exists. You can have footage, straight on footage like me talking right here with VO3 updates. Now you can have me talking as a video and have it change the camera angle, give it different views of the exact same scene. So yeah, we're seeing some really neat things happening, and it's just going to be, I think 2026 is going to blow our minds by the time we are here again next year.
Isn't it in Firefly that you can also now generate layers? You know?
Yes.
And
you can do layered editing just like we're familiar with, whether it's Premiere or Photoshop inside of these tools.
And when you like move something from one place to another, it generates the background where it was, plus it now creates an appropriate shadow for wherever you place the thing.
Yeah, that's a huge advancement that's just happened with this latest edition. Now, I have to say that while the image quality in Firefly 5 is great, I'm pretty happy with it. Its responsiveness itself to prompt following is not perfect. I still get better results with prompt adherence from version 3 and 4 than I do with version 5. I think they're going to fix this, but you'll see that you're almost in a preview mode for version 5, so I don't think you're getting the full-fledged version yet.
Okay, you want to demonstrate something?
Sure. Okay, so when you're inside of the tool, the way I normally would get to it is I click on my little icon here, which pulls up the full Creative Suite of options, go to Home, and you guys can access your Firefly right there. So I've already opened mine. And in here, you'll see that you've got a couple things that are available. So right away, it's new, and we can start creating. And when you click on Generate, you'll see that we've got Generate Image, Generate Video, Generate Soundtrack. So there's a lot of functionality that's built right away. So we'll just start with the basic image. When I click Image, it takes me into the Firefly platform itself. Inside of here, we've got the model with all the different options that are available. And I want to show you real fast for those who might not be familiar with version 3 and 4. When you choose that, you get a lot of options down the left-hand side. What I loved about this is content type. Choose photo, but you could choose photo or art. Art's going to be more artsy in what it's creating. And you have the opportunity to choose between a composition, where the composition kind of works like a container or a structure for what you're trying to create. And style, for those who are familiar with Midjourney, this is like a style reference. It's basically the style you want to influence your render with. When you go to version 5, I'll show you this. It disappears. We don't have all of that capability. I think it's coming soon, but all you really get is a reference image. So we can basically come over here. We can upload something that we like. So I'll just click on my device. We're able to bring over a reference image. And there, that's my son, Benjamin. So I'm bringing over a reference image, and I can use him in the referencing as an image to kind of work with. We've got also, sometimes we have aspect ratio that's available. With the prior versions you do. With this, it tends to work based off of what you're working from. So we could just start with something really simple just to see how it's going to handle it. I'm interested just because I want to see how it handles this. So young bearded man standing on a porch in wintertime, appropriately dressed for snow. And generate. Without doing anything, it's going to actually kind of follow whatever I've said. But you'll notice over here on the right, there's a few options that are available. So I'll click on this. Prompt features is you can do prompt suggestions. And with this, it'll actually pay attention to what you're typing. And it'll refine the prompt to make it work better with the existing model that you've chosen. Because I'm in Firefly 5, if I'd have left that on, it would pay attention. And what you'll find is that Firefly 5 is actually better at dealing with much more complex and in-depth prompting than the prior models. Okay, so it's taken the image reference, which you saw of Ben, and it's changed his face a little bit. Got it. He doesn't have this much hair on his head. He's kind of like his dad. And he's got shorts on still. But it basically used that as an image reference to kind of inspire what it was creating. Okay, so here's the funny thing. This is not done. We can say it's done. We can say we're happy with it. But you can also work with this image. If I click on Edit in the top left corner, I can choose Edit Image. Now, this is sort of like a conversational editing tool. So I notice he's still in shorts. So I can choose the model. So Nana Banana, or you've got five still available: Flux Context, GPT Image, or Nana Banana. I'll leave it at Nana Banana. And let's see, replace his shorts with a pair of jeans. Generate. You'll notice it says uses 0 credits because it's completely free through December 1st. I like the way this works because what it's going to do is it's paying attention to what I've asked for, and it's isolating the area that needs to be edited. So this is one thing I find really neat with this editing model. Only thing is there is a slight delay, but you'll notice we've got perfect genes now in place, and the plants are still looking great. Ben is bald. So remove the hair from his head.
It's almost like watching a Polaroid develop.
Yeah. I think this is going to be one of the things that's just going to get faster and faster and faster, where, when they show the ads for how these tools work, you're watching it and it's definitely not real time. But imagine being able to say, remove the hair from his head, and it's like done. It's not going to be this belabored thing. And I think this is where we're heading with the AI technology. Another thing we can do in this case is replace the background with New York City and make the time of day golden hour. So we can get more in depth. We don't have to isolate individual edit pieces. We can say, take a look at the whole and apply this to it. And it is kind of like watching a Polaroid.
Hey, Brian and Glenn, how are you?
Doing great.
So you're doing it step by step. Do you find it easier do it in small increments as opposed to putting all the changes, meaning pants, the shorts, the hair, the background?
And here's why is if anybody's worked with, of course, this is Nana Banana that it's actually running it through. So if you've done any editing inside of Gemini, having a conversation for edits, when you start doing a whole lot of things at once, it tends to choose the couple that it really likes, and it'll make those changes and it'll leave off some things. So when you're doing it piece by piece, you're getting a much better result. And so this is what I found seems to work a lot smoother for me. Have you had success otherwise?
No, I do it the way you're doing it, step by step, but I don't know.
I've tried it the other way, and what I find is it loses coherency to the image and the results that we're trying to get. And then one of the things that's nice here that I like is the image is still active. When you're inside of Gemini and you're having a conversation and you're making edits, so say it makes a mistake right here and you're like, okay, I really didn't like that. Well, you've then got to go grab the image that you like the best, bring it down into the conversation and start from that point. But what's nice here is I still have all of those prior edits available. So I can go back to these points and continue the conversation from this spot without having to drag it down and start it all over. So this is what I find really, really neat.
Probably, if you went further with this, you'd have to ask it to make the perspective of the background match the foreground.
Yeah, I mean, we could change it around. So make the railing
an apartment balcony.
Yeah, this is one of the things, just one of the aspects that's available inside of the Firefly suite. This kind of editing step by step that holds everything in place is not yet inside of Photoshop. Now you can do step by step editing, but it's going to be a different structure and a different flow. It doesn't look like this. It doesn't handle like this. So I almost see this almost being like, how when you do the parametric filters inside of Photoshop, where when you click on the filter, it takes you to a whole new window inside of Photoshop where you can make the edits, see if you like it, and bring it back. I think that's what we're going to start seeing inside of Photoshop with the integration of some of these tools for this workflow.
Fascinating what we're able to do with Firefly now, but it's also something that makes us look forward to your book. So hopefully,
thank you.
Hopefully after today's event, some of these people will go and pay the $19 to get
$19. Yeah, and also I updated the link for the Future Proof Creative Pros AI playbook. It was missing the www, so make sure you grab that link. It changed it again. Anyway, it just needs the www in front of it. But do feel free to reach out at any time. And you guys have access to me through LinkedIn. I love connecting with people. If you have questions, you're trying to solve things, reach out at any time, and I'll do the best I can to get to those.
Very good.
And with the Substack, here's a hint for everybody. I enjoy feedback. So if you say, hey, Brian, could you dive into this product? That gives me a good direction to kind of jump in, because I've got a dozen things at a time that I'm looking into. And what I decide to share, I really try to do it based off of what people are telling me they want to hear.
Next week, we have Deepika Grover from India going to be joining us for main event 140. And she's talking about her business of using AI for web design. There are some products that are out there, and I'm curious to see if that's what she is going to be using. She'll be with us. She was a big hit when she was on showing her work before. This should be equally interesting. And then the last Friday of this month, we're taking off because it's Thanksgiving weekend in the United States. I still don't know yet what's happening in December, but we will figure out something and get some more people in here. I think these interviews have been really very successful because people really have taken an interest in seeing them. And like I was mentioning to you before we started, a lot of times people that I have interviewed are now regularly coming to join the event each week because they know what they got out of it and they want to see what other people are doing. So, Brian, thank you so much for being here today. I value your time because I know, like I said, I know your work schedule is very intense. And so
Yeah.
I just appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate all the people that showed up today. It's really terrific to be able to do this. Once again, this has been recorded. After I do a few edits, this will be posted on my YouTube page, and I will put links in the event comments, but also I will do a separate post letting people know where they can see the recording. So
thanks for inviting me, Al. I appreciate it.
Alrighty, and when you've got the edited version, Brian, you can use it any way you want. If you want to share it with other people, please do.
Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, everybody.